Hi friends, welcome. I am Raghuraman, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Entomology, Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. So, welcome to this course, and today we will be discussing about the concepts of integrated pest management. So, why should we go for an integrated pest management? So, for this we have to have an idea of different periods of civilization. Long ago and times immemorial, we were in the period of Stone Age and followed by Iron Age, where there was a dawn of civilization, and this was due to the advent of the agriculture. People started domesticating the crops and they switched from hunting to agriculture, and there was a cultural change about 10,000 years ago, and it was followed by the mechanical age, wherein there was a tremendous rise in the usage of machines, and due to this we were able to increase our crop production, and large number of insects, they attacked the crops, and we had to go for the crop protection, wherein during the period of World War, large number of dreadful pesticides they were discovered and they were used for protecting the crop, like Stradon, organophosphates, DDT and other chlorinated hydrocarbons like chlordane, linden, etc. For the discovery of these compounds, many people were awarded with Nobel Prize, and these insecticides, which were considered to be the boon during those period, now they are considered to be the bane, and we have started banning these insecticides. And later we got an awareness of the dreadful effect of these insecticides, and we thought about the biological process and ecological process and ecosystem, and now we are in a period of system approach, wherein it is called as the biological and ecological age, where we understand the ecological process, and we have started for the organic agriculture, and now it is the period of preserved agriculture. So, the integrated pest management broadly says that the insects which inflict the damage in question have to be properly identified, and the management unit has to be properly defined, and the pest management strategy has to be developed based on the goals which are generally driven by the market. The reliable monitoring techniques are crucial role in the development of integrated pest management program, with which we can establish different tolerance levels of the insects, like the economic threshold level, economic injury level, the damage boundary and the action threshold, that is what will be the action taken by the farmer for a given set of conditions which is prevailing in the field, and ultimately he can evolve the predictive and descriptive models based on which we can go for the human intervention programs. What is the role of this IPM in sustainable development? It is the heart of all the systems. Now we are talking about the systems approach. The integrated pest management is the core of the cropping program, and it leads to the integrated crop management and ultimately leads to the sustainable development. And nowadays we are talking about the food security. Without the integrated pest management program, achieving the food security is a difficult thing. One grain saved, one grain saved is one grain produced. So, each and every grain which we save with the integrated pest management program leads to the increase in production. What are the basic elements in the sustainable integrated pest management program? We know pretty well that the man has to take the decision. He is the decision maker and ultimately the farmer. He has to have a knowledge and information of what is the pest, what is the predator, what is the parasite, and what is the stage of the crop, what is the age of the crop, whether the insect which I am seeing today is a pest or a natural enemy, and he has to have the knowledge of the monitoring with the help of different devices, and with which he can work out the levels of tolerance, and he can set the action level as what action I have to take for the given number of insects which are present in the field today. So, with appropriate materials and employing the appropriate methods, he can successfully suppress the population below those causing economic injury, and he can save the crop. So, for this he has to understand what is the pest, and it is any organism which competes with humans for some resources. They include the insects, weeds, disease, etc. Not necessarily the insects and weeds or pests. Wherever we face problem due to the snails or the nematodes, they are also considered to be the pests. And almost all insects, they are not bad. Some insects, when they are present at level below those causing economic injury, they are not considered to be the pest. They are present in the levels which do not cause any injury. So, they are in their general equilibrium position. And many plants, they have an inherent or innate ability to tolerate the insect pest to certain level, and in spite of the presence of the insect pest, these plants have an ability to produce desirable yield, which is called as the plant resistance. So, what is the level of the insect which can be tolerated by the plant? This has an important role in the integrated pest management. And what is pest management? How intelligently these techniques are selected and used for the pest control measures. This ensures a favorable economic, ecological and social consequences. So, before going into the concepts, we will see the definitions of integrated pest management. The Food and Agricultural Organization as well as the National Academy of Sciences have defined the integrated pest management, even though if you screen the literature, plethora of literature are available on the definitions of integrated pest management. You will see more than 30 to 40 definitions of integrated pest management, but these hold good as far as IPM is concerned. The FAO says that it is a pest management system in the context of associated environment and the population dynamics of the pest species. It utilizes all suitable techniques and methods in a compatible manner and keeps the population of the insects below those which cause the economic injury. The same definition is put into different words by the NAS, that it is a unified program which consolidates all the methods which are used for the management of insect pests. So, why we are talking about this integrated pest management program? Originally, we were using different methods which to control the insect pests, which are schedule based. Even the United States Department of Agriculture, they were recommending the schedule based application of insecticides irrespective of whether the insects are present or not in the field, leading to the development of resistance, that is the ability to withstand the insecticide by an insecticide which will prove lethal to the species of the same population. And due to this resistance, even today if you see the agricultural ecosystems, almost all Indian insects, they have developed resistance to the conventional insecticides which are used in vogue, to more than 150 insecticides. And this unilateral or lopsided or indiscriminate use of these insecticides, they kill the parasitoids and predators which are the beneficial insects. They have totally been eliminated from the field, and due to this the pests exploded and we got the secondary pest outbreak and the resurgence. And apart from these problems, we are now facing the problems of residues, in which the production of farmers, they are rejected from the international markets. The residue is nothing but any quantity of the insecticide or its metabolite which is present in the harvestable produce. So, before this, I will just like to brief about what are the patterns of crop protection and why we talk about the integrated control phase today. Long ago, and so long ago, we were in a phase of subsistence. Later on, we were not able to feed the growing population, and we started exploiting the varieties and we started exploiting the natural resources, due to which we used the high yielding varieties. To get the realizable yield from the high yielding varieties, the farmers used chemicals to kill the pests, and we became dependent on pesticides. This led to the crisis phase where we faced the resistance, resurgence, residue, secondary pest outbreak, and it increased the production cost, and there was a disaster of all the crop production systems throughout the globe. This is reported by almost all the scientists who are working in the globe, and this paved a way for thinking about the integrated control phase wherein in place of controlling the insect, we should go for the management of the insects. And what actually is the integrated pest management? It is the concepts. What are the concepts of the integrated pest management? Here, the one who is implementing an integrated pest management program, he has to first understand the agricultural ecosystem, and then accordingly he has to plan the agricultural ecosystem in which he has interest in the development of an integrated pest management program for a particular insect or a particular crop, and we have to work out the cost benefit on one hand and the benefit risk ratio on the other hand. And then we have to look what is the level of insect which can be tolerated by the plant, with which we can increase the production cost with the less input of the pest management by the human intervention. And then we should think of leaving a pest residue. After the implementation of the pest management program, certain number of insects have to be left in the field to preserve the ecosystem and the ecosystem services which are rendered by these non-target insects. And important thing is we have to think about the timing of treatments, at what time the treatments have to be given. And after developing an integrated pest management program, ultimately the public understanding and acceptance is the most important part of the development of the integrated pest management program. Coming to the agricultural ecosystem, an ecosystem is a self-sufficient habitat where the natural or the living things and the non-living things, they interact continuously for the flow of energy. An agricultural ecosystem is different from that natural ecosystem in the sense that it is a man-made ecosystem, and you can see only one crop throughout a large area, leading to the monoculture, and the diversity is less in an agricultural ecosystem, and the human intervention is more in an agricultural ecosystem as compared to the natural ecosystem. The natural ecosystems are self-sufficient ecosystems which are in a serial or ultimate stage where they come to that particular position by the gradual and sequential change of one species by the other species, and it is a permanent ecosystem. So, these agricultural ecosystems which are man-made, they are less resilient, less elastic, and they are less permanent as compared to that of the natural ecosystems. So, the certain pests which are seen in this ecosystem, they will flourish like anything due to the availability of the natural host in a large area, so that we can see more than 12 or 13 insects which are prevalent and predominant in an agricultural ecosystem, among which 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 may be a major pest and 3 or 4 may be the minor pests. Under favorable condition, these major pests, they will perpetuate like anything and they will pose threat to the crop production. So, these concepts should be clear to the scientists before implementation of the integrated pest management program. And after knowing about the ecosystem, the scientist has to plan the agricultural ecosystem, which has to be made aware to the farmers also, and what is the place, what is the type of crop, and what is the anticipated pest problems in this particular crop, and then the integrated crop production and the plant protection should be done to minimize the damage by the pest. The location of the farm and weeds near the farm, the beneficial overwintering sites, the cover crops and no-till production schemes have to be thoroughly understood, because the insects, when a farmer goes for a new area, a new crop, and if the weeds are surrounding in that particular area, there is always likelihood of these insects migrating from these weeds and facing a threat to the crop production. And apart from this, we have to work out the cost benefit on the one hand and the benefit risk ratio on the other hand in formulation of the integrated pest management program. The cost benefit ratio, if it is worked out, the unnecessary treatments versus information, and we can avoid the treatment which is not necessary during a particular period of time. It says that what will be the benefit which will be realized by the farmer for spending 1 rupee for the control measures. For example, if a farmer is spending 1 rupee and in turn he is getting 5 rupees, he has a cost benefit ratio of 1:5. So, this information can reduce the pesticide use and cost, and the information can be substituted for the pesticides. So, with the information itself, he can reduce the number of applications. For example, in the farmers associated with cotton, they go for more than 13 or 14 sprays for controlling the Helicoverpa armigera, which led to the disaster of the cotton crop. So, by properly attending the farmer field schools and properly going for the scouting with the knowledge of integrated economic threshold level, with 3 or 2 sprays they can realize a very good yield in cotton crop. And scouting is more important in formulating the pest management program, where he can go for the scouting with different types of traps, different pheromone traps or yellow pan traps, sticky traps or light traps, which are recommended by the different agencies like National Institute of Plant Health Management, National Center for Integrated Pest Management and Directorate of Plant Protection and Quarantine and Storage. The agro ecosystem based analysis is nowadays being given importance by the National Institute of Plant Health Management. And the gain threshold has to be worked out, which is equal to the management cost by the market value. The benefit risk ratio has also to be worked out. What is the quantum of damage which is inflicted to the environment by the application of a pesticide, because the pesticides are two-sided weapons. On one side they will control the insects, on the other side they will contain the beneficial organisms which are recurring, which are giving the ecosystem services in terms of converting the nutrients which are in non-available form to an available form. And these things have to be given due consideration while formulating the pest management programs. So, the highly toxic pesticides, and it reduces the risk to the handlers, workers and the environment and society, and we have to estimate the environmental costs of different pesticides, and ultimately the economic injury level, economic threshold level should be worked out. There is a formula for calculating the tolerance, that is the economic injury level, which is the level at which the management cost will be equal to the market value. When farmer goes for application of the insecticide, he will not have any profit, which is given by EIL is C upon VID, where EIL is the number of insects per production unit and C is the cost of the management, V is the market value and I is the injury units per pest production unit and D is the damage per unit injury. And what is the damage versus yield reduction? It has to be quantified, and the thresholds are specified for different crops, which have to be worked out properly for implementing a proper pest management program. Whether first the farmer has to see whether it is a pest or not. If it is a pest only and if it causes the damage which is economical, then only it has to be given due importance in a particular crop. So, it is the lowest population density which will cause the economic damage, and the loss caused by this pest equals to the cost of control. It is calculated by the formula PC is EC by VDIK, whereas this PC is the pesticide application cost, EC is the environmental cost and D is the yield loss, I is the crop injury and K is the constant. And what is the different tolerance levels which are seen in the insects? Whenever a crop is grown, from sowing to harvest, large number of insects they are found to be inhabiting a crop, and the level at which an insect will be continuously present in a field without causing any economic injury is called as general equilibrium position. Whenever the favorable conditions are there, these insects will multiply fast and they will start inflicting the damage to the crop. So, whenever they go up, their population has to be controlled or they have to be minimized by means of the human intervention. So, when they reach the level at which where the management cost will be equal to the market value, that is called as the economic injury level. So, whenever a farmer is spending 1 rupee, in turn he will be getting 1 rupee or less than 1 rupee. The insect should not be allowed to reach that particular level. So, before reaching that particular level, the insect has to be controlled, which is called the economic threshold level. So, the economic threshold level is the level of the insects which are present in the crop at which the pest control practices have to be initiated by the farmer before this particular insect reaches the economic injury level. And the determination of this economic injury level and economic threshold level is a very complex process. It takes into account the bioclimatology, the biocontrol which is existing in that particular crop, the host plant resistance, that is the inherent ability of the plants to withstand the number of insects, the environmental consequences of the applied control. and this economic injury level, it will vary from area to area and crop variety. It goes down as the crop value goes up and the consumer standards, like for example, in case of apple, even if one insect damage is there, the consumers will not prefer to purchase that particular apple. So, in that case, the farmer will be applying the insecticide even at the site of one insect, which is not recommended in that particular crop. Similarly, in cashew, you might have heard about the endosulfan tragedy, wherein cashew is a crop which fetches more than 1500 rupees per kilogram. So, these farmers of Kasaragod area, they have the scheduled based application of insecticides, due to which large number of side effects are seen in the insecticide related problems, like the congenital deformalities and different diseases which are reported in this particular region, which led to the banning of the particular insecticide, that is the endosulfan, in this region. And the amount of physical damage that can be prevented by the use of control measure, and the monetary value of portion of the crop that can be saved by the control measure has to be taken into consideration while working out the economic injury as well as the economic threshold levels. The monetary cost of the control measure is also important. For example, in a fodder crop, there is no point of going for the human intervention in terms of pesticide application, whereas a cash crop, we have to work out the cost benefit ratio and we have to go for appropriate control of the insects. And ultimately, after controlling the insect, it is not a question of eradication, it is management. So, pest residue is different when we talk about the insecticides, and residue is different when we talk about the insects. And the presence of insects in a particular field is always recommended by the integrated pest management. The definition itself says that we have to contain the population below those levels which cause the economic injury. So, its level has to be kept down and it should be always present in the field, which is called as the pest residue, which will help the food chain and in turn the food web to flourish in the field, and it will be responsible for the maintenance of ecological balance, wherein the increase in number of natural enemies can be achieved by leaving the pest residue. And the natural enemies, they have to be fed in the crop, so that the availability of insect is important or crucial in the field for getting the continuous supply of food. And it suppresses pests, but it does not eradicate this. So, the IPM always has an agenda of suppressing the pest, it will never think about eradicating the insect pest. Then comes the concept of timing of treatments. At what time the treatment has to be done? For example, if we are releasing an egg parasitoid in a field, the presence of eggs in the field is crucial. If we are releasing the egg parasitoid when the larvae are present in the field, there is no point, the human labor will go waste and the input will go waste. So, the IPM personnel as well as the farmer, they have to be given awareness about the timing of the treatments. That is, the spray by calendar should be always avoid, and it should be treat when necessary. And this treatment should always be based on need, and the weak link of the insect life cycle should be identified. For example, the nuclear polyhydrosis viruses, they will be active in the later part of the larval stage, and they will not be active in very small age of the larvae. So, the availability of the weak link of the insect and the management option should coincide, so that the insecticide or the biocontrol agent, it will have its desired effect in the field. And we should always see the pesticide selectivity. If you are going for timely treatment, you can avoid the damage caused to the honeybees, and you can avoid the damage caused to the non-target insects which are responsible for pollination and other activities in the field. And after implementing all these things, the public understanding and acceptance is the crucial part of the concept of pest management. The farmers have to be appropriately educated about the technology, and it should be acceptable to that particular farmer, which will take into consideration about the social values and norms, taboos and other things, and how the pest management program is justified for that particular field. It should be cheap, it should be easily available to the farmer, and it should be compatible to the farmer, and there should not be any limiting factor while applying this pest management tactics by the farmer, which should be inculcated to the farmers by means of the farmers field school or training programs, which are conducted time to time by different organizations. And these are the concepts of IPM. Now, the components, how best we can achieve the management of insect pests, we will discuss in the next class, which will cover the different methods of integrated pest management program like curative methods, cultural methods, the mechanical methods, physical methods, biological methods, chemical methods, legal methods and biotechnology methods. So, to put in a nutshell, the concept of integrate IPM focuses on how best we have to understand the agricultural ecosystem, how best we have to plan it, and we have to work out the profit. Always we should take into consideration the ecosystem on one hand and the profit on the other hand, both of them leading to the sustainability of the farmer, and it should be acceptable to the farmer, with which we can successfully manage the pest in a given ecosystem. Thank you.